Welcome in. It is day 244, and you're speaking to the Meeples Champion. And today we're going to be going over a game that I actually kickstarted forever ago. I was excited when I saw the Kickstarter, and then it came in, and I don't recall if this came in late or not. This was one of my early Kickstarters, but for whatever reason, the game, it kind of a combination of it wasn't as intriguing in person as it looked like when I had invested in the product, and it was almost a little intimidating just because of the way it was built, probably the stage I was at as far as being a gamer in my life. But I just ended up putting it on the shelf, and I never played it. Well, today I pulled that game out. I made the decision that for this channel I was going to make an effort, and I actually found that not only was it not that complicated, but it was a great game, and I saw all the things that I must have seen in this nearly a decade ago when I invested in it. So I was happy to get it off the shelf and get to try it. The game is called Villages of Valeria. Now, the concept of the game is that you're all going to have your starting kingdom, and then you're all going to place one card upside down under it, which basically means you're going to have now an available resource. It's not a resource that you just permanently own. It's a resource that both you and your opponents can invest on. So if you have a showing apple and somebody needs food, they can place a coin on your apple when it's time to build something and use that to build it. Now, when the end of that turn comes and we all gather off of our resource spots, that money is mine, so I'll have it for future spend. So you put your resource under, you have your starting hand now of 5 cards, and essentially you get to go through these options of, you're the one up, pick an action. Do you want to recruit? Are you going to try to get somebody down below? These people tend to come with the requirement of, if you are the person who is the first one to recruit, you pay 1 gold, and you can pick somebody so long as you have built the cards that have the required symbols to make them. If they have an immediate action, you do it. If they have a constant, you do it. But either way, they're usually good points. The next person up and the rest of the people at the table pay 2 coins to do the same thing as you just did. So it's best for you. You finish out that, it goes to the next person, and now they pick. They may decide they want to build. Well, if you're going to do a build, it's the same thing. Everybody has to use their money, cover up pieces. Now you start at the first player, so the last person's going to have the fewest resources available. So it's going to become an issue as things are filling up and you don't have spots left to go to. Everybody's castle is a wild, so you can use that, but the additional resources are lowering and lowering. So you do your build, and the first player, the person who chose build, actually gets to draw a card with it as well. You have the ability to restock up your hand. You can have a max of 8 cards being held. So you could develop and go grab 3 cards. Everybody else gets just the 1. You have the option that you want to tax. Tax means that the first player is going to get 1 coin, and they're also going to get 1 card, and everybody else just gets the card. Now, you have your buildings available, and you have your recruitment people available. 5 face up in each row, and then the pile. Now recruit, it's always just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pile can't be touched till a person is gone. The build is different though. A lot of actions have discards. As you discard them face up on top of one of those piles, so they each start getting in different stacks, and they're not available again until you get cards off the top. But you also have the ability, when it says to draw, to just take one at random off the top of the deck. So there's a lot of option there. Now it depends on total number of players, but you're going to play the game until somebody has gotten their 10th card down in a 5-player game. It can, depending on number of players, be up to 12 cards that you're trying to get down. Once somebody's done it, you will finish out the round, make sure everybody has their even amount of turns, and then you just count up what your points are. Now, a lot of these cards, as you're making them, have abilities. You might have one that says, oh, well, once this is built, yeah, it's only a point, but permanently, whenever you go to do a future build, you will immediately consider whatever card you're building to cross 1 food off of it, cross 1 stone off of it, cross off a water. As you do this, it makes it easier and easier to build. Other people might be doing it where, well, no matter if I'm the one that did the tax or I'm continuing on with tax, when tax happens, I get extra money or I get extra card draw. So you can be building it up so that certain actions become power actions for you. Somebody else does something and all of a sudden on your turn you're like, oh, I would have gotten 1 card, but because of these 3 cards, now I'm actually drawing 5 cards and I'm getting 2 money. So you can make turns really powerful for you. At the end of the game, once it's all done, you count the victory points in the corner of every card. You look for any specialty scoring, and then you get a point for every gold that you have. and then you see who wins. It's a really fun little game, but why don't we jump in, let's talk our 7 categories and see where this one lands for us today. When it comes to the art, I actually really like the box. It's one of the reasons that when I wasn't interested in it, I didn't just toss the game. I easily, after all these years, could have just donated it, given it to somebody. But I liked the box. I liked it being on my shelf, and I wanted to learn it. And when I pulled it out today and I set it up, man, the one thing I noticed immediately, the art on these cards is beautiful. It was part of the reason I wanted it. It's actually very reflective of like the Architects of the West Kingdom type game art, I feel. I'm not sure if it's the same artist or not, but it was a really nice art. Big thumbs up. Your components. So you have your castle you pass around for first player, as well as your scoring castles, the ones that represent how many cards you've made. Nice little wooden pieces. You've got your money, which is also these little like wooden pieces of money, which are nice. Then you have your cards, and these are top level cards. Not only are they not going to wear, they are never going to tear. I mean, you're going to really have to try. They're a very strong card stock. I'd say this is like a 5 out of 5 card. They really invested in it. And that's 98% of the game is the cards. So for me, great components. Thumbs up. Your price. Now, I've looked up, because the Valeria games, there are a bunch of them. Some of them go together, some of them don't. They all tend to be different story arc area. This was pretty early on, and this is not one that I see when I look up the Valeria games. I think this is a little harder to get a hold of these days. When I invested in it, I want to say I only invested like $30 to $40. It wasn't a huge amount, but this is definitely not a game you're just going to go find in a store, and you might find it online, but it is going to be a little harder. I'm going to have to say that, well, I think that the game is worth its price. Its availability is down enough that I'm going to have to give it a thumbs down. Difficulty. You know, I was a different gamer 10 years ago, and games intimidated me a little bit quicker because I didn't know about a lot of different styles of games yet. This was not difficult. This is one that I think a beginner and an experienced player can enjoy a lot. I think an expert, it's not simple, so an expert can still play the game, and there's strategy, and there's what am I doing, what are they doing, how does this affect the board. So I think an expert can enjoy the game. But even a kid, I think that the art is great. A kid may not be able to completely understand all the pieces, but I think that some 10-year-olds could. This isn't a game that's going to lose them. So for me, I think this one can have the opportunity to hit on all those levels. Thumbs up. Replayability. So I just played my first game. I set it up 5-player style, played it through by myself. Learning the game, it took me an hour and a half, but I was also learning the game and trying to play for 5 players. You know, if I'm only playing for myself, and if it's with a now second game, I think that this game is more likely a 45 to 60 minute game, and I think that that does give opportunity for a replay. And I think it's also a game that I could see being one to pull out, not only with my friends for a game night, and maybe not 3-4 times a game night for the year, but at least once I could see it get into game night. I think it has opportunity to make it to family night. I think this is one that you wouldn't be scaring people off so long as they've been introduced to something. If you've got family and you've introduced them to your basics, Catan, Ticket to Ride, Azul, and you've gone a little bit past that, maybe you've gotten up to, like, say, a Clank, then I think this game would be okay to bring and show to that group. If they haven't gotten to a Clank level yet, I would hold off, and definitely not if you haven't even introduced them to the very basics of those Azuls, those Ticket to Rides, 7 Wonders, Sushi Go, those games that can give them the idea of this outside the old school concept of a board game, card stock type setup. That would helps people to process a little bit quicker, especially a game like Sushi Go or 7 Wonders that aren't that hard, but it's a whole deck of cards, and they're getting used to all this different style of the card play. It's not a regular 52 card deck or just a board game. I think that helps to prepare you for a game like this. So for me, I think that the replayability is there for different spots. Gotta be a thumbs up. Keys to victory. So when I played through my game, there was a clear-cut winner at 27 points, and second place was only like 17. And a few players were down around 12. So it was a little bit of a range. But what I saw was the player who killed it did it mostly because they had about 12 money. So going after money is a winning condition. It works for you great. But then, for instance, the player I was sitting at, and that I considered to kind of be my player when I was playing through, they had 17. And they did that because they were investing in big point payout cards. Another player was right around the same score, and they did it because they were investing in the recruitment phase and bonus points they were getting because, hey, I only had 12 points compared to the rest of you guys, but then I got a 5-point bonus because every single person who had a hammer icon on them, this recruited player gave me a point for. So that's another way that it can help you out. So there are variations, there's great mixes. I think there's a lot of keys to victory here. Thumbs up. Is the game unique? I don't think it's unique. It is fun, and I don't think it's one that I have a clear-cut, straight-up setup with, but I think that it feels like they've pulled out a piece from other games. You know, that idea of keep making cards, spending money to get more cards, to give you abilities to now help you to focus in on which cards you can make easier and faster. And once you hit a limit, we end the game, we count the points. I've seen that before. And, you know, parts of it almost kind of lined up to that corner in Architects of the West Kingdom. That might be why I kind of was feeling that game during this at times. You don't have the board and the worker placement, but you've got the card corner. So for me, it's not unique. Thumbs down. Overall, what do I think? Shocking to myself compared to 2 hours ago. I actually think this is a game that I would highly recommend to try. You don't have to go buy it. You don't have to own it, but try it. If you have a chance to, see if you like it. And if it's something that you can get your hands on, maybe it's something that will end up in your collection. Well, it has been day 244, and we've been speaking about the game Villages of Valeria, and you've been speaking to the Meeples Champion. Like, share, subscribe, and check down below in the description where I'll be adding in an Amazon link in case you want to get this game for your collection. Until next time, I'll talk to you tomorrow.